Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for our special Christmas episode where we are going to spend some time on one of our favorite sitcoms and talk a little bit about Christmas movies. Welcome, my guest, Melody Hardin.
Hi,
So happy to have my winter break girly on with us today for the long-awaited episode. How are you doing today, Melody?
I'm good. I'm excited to get into it. We watched some clips in prep, and I was feeling all the fun Parks and Rec vibes coming back to me, especially in time for Christmas because it's an underrated Christmas type of show because it's just full of joy and fun.
That's true. And there were some special Christmas episodes that we were able to catch up on as
Yes,
well.
yes.
Parties, and we cannot wait to get into it. First and foremost, I want to say thank you, Melody, for two things. One, being a rock star and working so hard to get into your favorite college.
Yes, I got into USF and I'm so grateful and excited.
Yes, so happy you're also in the Judy Genscheft Honors College. I was sharing a little bit about that last week. And I also want to let you know that another fun piece of news is that Melody has been helping with our 12 Days of Christmas sale.
Yes, I
So,
have.
yes, so grateful. We're on day 5 today. Make sure you're on our email list if you're not catching our deals because they're the best of the year. And this queen
Really
has
good.
she's our E&M social media marketing manager literally for years now. So thank you.
Yay, of course. Make sure to check those out because they come and they go super fast. And Amazon has started labeling gifts as last minute, which is stressing me out a lot.
Yes.
So we're not gonna do that to you. I didn't want to place last minute on there because that was a little stressful for me, but do get
Mhm.
on it because it technically is already last minute.
Yes, and the way you're probably not watching on YouTube, but if you are, she's giving shout out hands, and it reminds me of a couple of funny characters on Parks and Rec. I think you know who I'm talking about. The Staffer
Oh, Jelly. Genre feel.
scenes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so for those who do not know Parks and Rec, as Melody said, this is a show that is truly joy filled. So if I had to give the show itself a typing, I would probably give it a 7 typing in that
Yeah,
way.
I
Would you?
agree. Yeah. Other than there's a lot of nine elements with the
Oh,
Pawnees.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
Pawnees, Pawnee as a whole is like nines at their worst. Like
Yeah.
it at their
Yeah.
worst. But like
Yes.
as a nine, I can like crack up about it and be like, this is hilarious. Like
Yes.
I'm I could see myself being in that unhealthy space and celebrating the basketball star from middle school as our town's hero. Like it
Right.
is realistic to say the least. And my brother, who's like 6/7, like we're not quite sure, he loves it too. And he's like, that is so real. Like he thinks it's so funny. So you
Yeah.
have to have like a mature sense of humor to understand some of the like subtleties in the town, but
Mhm.
you really do feel like you're a part of it.
Yeah, that's true. And I love how you said for so many nines out there, you can actually see yourself in it. And I
Yeah.
think that the urgent 7 part of me is like, let's help the town, you know? And so,
He's like Leslie Nope
yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes. And I don't know that we don't actually type her as a 7, but I think that we're all learning here together that everybody has 7 in them. Everybody has moments
Yeah.
in 9. And so we can relate to shows like this, all of us. So just have fun with us as we type people and know that we're doing, as we've talked about recently on the show, patterning. And so that way you might feel like, no, I'm sticking with my pattern for Chris Traeger's character or somebody else, but know that we're having fun today and hopefully brought on a little snack with you, or you have your favorite snacks you're thinking of that you were going to watch the show with next time you watch it, or even just get into it for the first time. Mel, if you had to say to people what this show is actually about, just as a like a person who's like, what would I be watching this show for? What's it about again? Give it me a general if I've never watched it. What would you say to them?
Well, the show follows a parks department in the Midwest. It's in Indiana.
Hmm.
And it's this little town called Pawnee, which sounds so Indiana. They nailed that.
Yes.
And it stars like this amazing cast of actors acting as the workers in this parks department. Some of them are like nurses or just like almost PR type of people in the show, or just like
Mhm.
running the parks department as a whole. And it's like their little shenanigans and events that happen throughout their time running the department. But honestly, like a lot of it just follows like the the town itself, like whether
Mhm.
it's like a town meeting or a festival they're running or some random person in town they're dating, like whatever's going on, like it really does follow that. And then it's super heavy on relationships, so it's like
Mhm.
all about like each character's relationship with the other, and they're all very connected. Like it's not like, oh, these characters are always together and these two aren't. Like they're all very connected. And Jerry Gergich, or Jerry or Gary or Larry, however you want to call
Yes.
him, he is so funny, and they always make fun of him on the show, and they always blame him for everything.
Mhm.
So that is a big part of the show. But I love how they have like inside jokes throughout the show. And Leslie Knope is like the main lady in the show. She's the main mid-level bureaucrat, and she is hilarious, and she's
Mhm.
just super big achiever, and she's super hyper and fun. And she's like an inspiration, but also like you're like, I'm glad I'm not like that because that would be so tiring.
Mhm.
But some of my favorite episodes are when she's like running for, I think it's senator, is it?
Mhm.
And she's running
City
against
Council is
city
the early
council, yeah.
episodes, but
And then she's running against Bobby Newport, which is Paul Rudd, and it's so funny.
yes, and she's played by
So
Amy Poehler.
yes, yeah,
So I love that you
so
are giving
funny.
sort of a big high level breakdown before we do characters because that gives people, I love how you said it's mid-level bureaucracy at the city level. And it's basically as though she and another person who are running the city with her are like, I've read that she's like the city Democrat and he's like the city Republican.
Yeah.
Ron Swanson, who is played by Nick Offerman, is that character. And then she's like the city Democrat who's got the bleeding heart, and she's they're best friends, but they do things differently. And
Yeah.
it's a political satire mockumentary. So of course, as Mel said, it's not a real town, but you get a lot of small town feel, you get the heart of America feel.
It's very realistic in that way.
Yeah, so I think probably most people know this, and you're just here with us, like, yes, 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 these are my characters, these are my people, and it was an Office spinoff originally. But now we're going to talk a little bit about just what we think the characters are typed. So you have your thoughts about some of them, and you named Jerry, which I'm really glad because when I gave Melody my list of character types that I had for everybody, I forgot Jerry. And that's the craziest
Which
thing
was so
because
on par for
everyone
the show.
gets Jerry.
I love running gag like jokes. So for me, like that's so funny because I always felt it was a little too harsh in the office with Toby because like they do a similar
Mm,
thing. And
yeah, nobody likes
Toby's was a
Toby.
little more depressive for me. Like he was just always like his life really was bad.
Yeah,
But in this show, it's funny because Jerry's like got this amazing, gorgeous family, and like he's super happy and stuff. So like you
yeah,
can have more fun with joking around with
yeah.
it.
Forgetting him is
It's more like, yeah, like
it's silly.
uniting and
Yeah.
like fun. Yeah.
Yeah, they actually, we can start with him, but they actually said when they made this show that Jerry was somebody that they didn't want to make everyone making fun of him. So they made him with a perfect life outside of the office dynamics. So that's how they could handle how much he gets made fun of in the office is he has a perfect life, married to Christy Brinkley, three gorgeous, successful adult daughters, and a perfect Hallmark family.
It's really
So
funny.
Jerry, what are we going to type him, Melody, because of all of this?
I'm gonna have to claim it as a 9, unfortunately.
Okay.
No one wants to claim Jerry.
I forgot Jerry.
He could be outside the Enneagram itself. Like it
We
could
might need to
be
do
he's
that.
a 10, no one
Yeah.
knows. But
Christy Brinkley, not 10
he's
out of 10.
not that type of 10. Don't tell me he's hear me out. That'd be crazy.
Nope.
Um, but I think he is a 9 just because of how much he's unfortunately forgotten. But when his voice is heard, it is very like influential and good. But it's a
Yeah.
lot of the time they don't care, and he has these amazing ideas, and it's so funny because they're like,
Yeah.
no one wants to hear your idea. And then they never do the idea.
And they're perfect ideas. So that
It's
does
so
make
funny,
sense
though.
on him being 9. We have said that before.
Yeah.
You're right, because he's got so many great ideas and people aren't listening. And we have gotten how worked up over you over the years of no one listening at times.
Yeah.
So I feel it for Jerry now. Thank you for getting me on that.
Of course.
Okay, well, let's try to type somebody else. Who should we type next?
Let's start with Leslie.
Okay, what do you think about Leslie Knope? You know what I had shared with you, and then I'll share mine afterwards.
I think Leslie is a 3, but I see a lot of 2 and 7 in her. And she's always been a hard type for me to type because her 3 is so evident in like her achieving and like just like her goal mindset. Like she's constantly has a goal.
Yeah.
And like she doesn't do well when she doesn't have like a goal.
Yeah.
But I think that like some of the 7 characters, like Andy, I think he's a 7. And which I know a lot of people say is a 2 as well.
Yeah.
But I think he's a 7 because he's so enthusiastic and like go, go, go and like joyful. And I think I see a separation between those characters, like that's super evident. So that's why I think she's a 3.
I'm thinking in terms of so many layers when you say these characters, and to touch on Andy Dwyer, played by Chris Pratt briefly, the immature character who wasn't originally going to be on as a full-time character, but then became so lovable. I could really see us needing to stretch into tri-type with him because of that too, that we do see in him. But I think it's really harder to see that. And I do think the 7's in front. 7 is run by the id, 2 is run by the superego. And so we do see a more mature, like giver in a 2. Let's say if they're at their average health, we're still going to see a bit more mature giver as a 2. A 7 is going to still be more of a kinetic mover, like you said, a little bit more playful. So I do think that you have him typed appropriately.
And he is a 5-year-old in the mind.
Yeah.
So it's like, picture if you're a 7, you at 5. Like it's not like I'm saying it's you right now.
No, right.
But
like a type 7
he's
as a kid.
the most lovable character. Like he's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's like a little golden retriever or something. Like just mutually well loved. So I would say he's a 7, but with strong elements of 2.
And then with Leslie Knope, you said 3, and I love that. I said 3-wing 2, and I have shifted over the years. If you've heard us talk about her before, I've really come in to see her 3. Just as we've watched and rewatched, I think I've noticed, gosh, she's nonstop tenacity with her projects, and there's no one like that but a 3. Like
that's really
ones care, but they're like, I mean, because I think in a real life she may be a 1. I think I've heard that on the another podcast, but she basically in this show, she never quits. Whereas I know so many ones who are like, the good and right thing to do is to quit at the end of the day. And she's like, no, we're not going to be beat. Super competitive. We'll work 23-hour days. We'll let everything else go. There's a sense of justice, but it's goal oriented. I will achieve this. We will get it. And plus, let's remember our 3s are heart people, like the biggest heart. And that's where I see that 2 come in as well.
Yes.
And what were you saying?
No, she's just like very like, I feel like uplifting to all of those around her, and I see a lot of 3s in that space when they're at their healthiest. They just really like care, and they also want everyone to be able to achieve their goals as well. And she's like very heavy on that in the show, where it's like, oh, like you have this in mind, like you have a potential, you have something you're going after, like I'm gonna help you get to that, which I think is very 3. And also she doesn't always work with justice like a 1. Like she'll let her feelings get in the way. And she'll be like, we're gonna go attack them in court, even if it's not the right thing. Just because like I feel like that's what I should do right now. Whereas a 1 might be like, okay, let me like logically analyze this. Like, is this what's like just?
Yeah, you're right. It's going off feelings a lot more and makes it funny.
Yeah.
And so Ben Wyatt, her love of her life, I have him typed as a 6-wing 5 because he is so analytical and such a troubleshooter. I had trouble between the 6-wing 5 and a 1-wing 9 with how perfectionistic he can be. What did you think of those 2?
I think I'm gonna agree with the 6-wing 5. I could see 5-wing 6, but I think similar to Andy and Leslie, that kind of separates him and Ron Swanson. I think he that Ben is a 6-wing 5 because of how much of a warrior he is, honestly.
That's true.
He's very like he's every decision he's making
Yeah,
during their campaign is like very much like worst case scenario.
true.
Which I think is important for like
Mhm.
you need to have someone on your team like that.
Yeah.
But I do think that like sets him apart as a 6. And also you see his 5 come out in his like hyper like niche obsessions.
Yeah, that's true.
With like
Cones
the
of
cones of
Dunshire.
Dunshire, yeah, like all of
Counting.
those, yeah.
Yeah.
All of those things
Well,
are
that's
like
his type
so
one too.
5
Yeah.
in one, yeah.
Yes, that's true.
And so, but I don't think he's a 1. I don't think he's a body type. Like, I think that's a really
Yeah.
big distinction. I
Mm.
really think he's a head type.
Well, that's fun, and no wonder I get along so well with that character. I'm always like, I love Ben.
Yeah.
So that makes me laugh. What do you have for Tom Haverford? I love
So
his
that's
character too.
easy. That is the easiest one by far.
What do
He's
you-
gonna be a 3-wing 4.
Oh my gosh, that's what I had him
Oh
too.
my gosh, cute.
Or
No,
social 9, I put. Sorry.
so that was actually a personal dig. She's mad at me for saying Andy was a 7 and is coming after me. Fine, we can. I already
I'm
took
sorry, but
Jerry.
I'm sorry. Have you ever seen Tom's pad when he shares his comfort items?
Okay, I've already taken Jerry. I think I've had enough damage for the day.
All right, I'm sorry.
I've taken enough hits for the type 9 community. But I'm gonna have to say 3 because although he's very 9, he has no goal whatsoever for peace for the world.
This is true.
He is like,
Maybe not
get
the
me
healthy 3.
my comfort so that
Mhm.
I can be more successful.
Yeah.
He wants the name brand things. He's like the stereotype of a 3.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
true.
if you're 3, like, oh, I don't always need the name brand. Like I have so much 3 in me. It's like, I know, but the stereotype does, and he does. So
That's
he's like
true.
an entrepreneur. He's always starting a new business. Like, and a lot of them are really successful.
Mhm.
He's all about the swag and
Yeah.
the most A-list items. And he has his infamous red carpet shoes where he has an insole in the
Okay,
shoe of a
you
red
got-
carpet.
Okay, this girl can argue,
So
and I
I think
am
I
here for it.
win.
You
He's
have some
not
3
an
in you. Yeah, he's not a social 9, even though that's the most 3 like 9. You're absolutely right. His comfort is his 9 arrow. He is a quintessential 3. And remember that when he and Leslie got matched up, it was like they were so alike because they were 2 3s
Yeah,
on a computer matchup. And
that's
so,
true.
but like she's like the healthier 3. But I love your analysis. That was so funny.
And I see the 4 as well with how romantic he
Yes,
is.
me
Yeah.
too. Such a hard type at
And
the
he
end of
really
the
does
day.
care about like artistry and
Mhm.
like things being like pleasant to the eye.
Mhm.
Like
Yes, he
how
does.
throughout the whole show, he's like, no, I don't like the look of this or something. And like, I know that's very 4 with like their artful connections.
Yeah, it's so true. I think that he definitely makes me think of somebody who comes around and later his character arc is so beautiful. So if you don't like any of these characters toward the beginning of the show, they all get like a beautiful arc of growing on. And it's just beautiful.
Really, yeah.
So Ron Swanson is my next one. He has that give it to the man attitude. He is, like I
Yes.
said, the quintessential libertarian, but originally, like I said, was going to be the Republican of the show. What did you have for him?
I'm gonna have to say the 5 as well.
Mhm.
Probably 5-wing 6.
Yeah, that's what I had
I
too.
just think he is just so quintessential 5.
Yes.
Especially with like, I love seeing like a hyper masculine 5 character because
Mhm.
I feel like we see a lot of like this like analytical like computer techie 5, which can also be like hyper masculine. But this is like the hunting, like barbecue, like
Mhm.
raw egg type of 5, like give me my like bacon,
Bourbon.
yeah, my bourbon. Like he's like a
Yeah.
different type of 5, and I
Mhm.
think that's like so refreshing to see,
Mhm.
especially with when he comes into his 4-wing with the saxophone jazz when he's Duke Silver, I think.
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah. He's able to have that like 4, which he hates to let the 4 out, but you see
Mhm.
it in like his wood carving and like
Yeah.
when he cries and stuff. Which I think he could be seen as an 8, but
Well,
I
that's his
just
self-pres 8 part of him. There's
yeah,
because 5 goes to 8 in their moments of health, and so you see a lot of 8 in
yeah.
him.
I
I
think he
love that.
doesn't like necessarily think he's very analytical, but I think he definitely is.
Yeah, right. Agreed. That's why he's come out of believing that he'll have any influence in government. Whereas when you're an 8, you're like, I'm a justice fighter. We're doing this. And he's like,
Not.
nope,
He
I've
doesn't
analyzed
care
it too
about the
much.
justice that much. He's like, well, if it's not fair, live with it. Don't bug me about it. Whereas I think
Right.
an 8
He's
would more
preserving
so, yeah,
energy at all
be like,
times.
yes, he is.
He is. And he's healthy 5 in a lot of ways. He really does come around and comes into healthy places and spaces of generosity, like our 5s do when they're healthy. And he does such a good job of also like, he's caring so deeply, but removed like most 5s do. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want you to get a hold of my heart. Don't come near me, but I actually really like you. And that's neat. Now we have Donna, who is great friends with Tom, and she's somebody who can, I think, get forgotten in the office too. She gets built up over time. What would you say for Donna?
It's a good question. I did not, I don't know. Okay. I'm thinking 8 or 3.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to say 8, which might be a little shocking, but
Hmm.
I think that there's just like a huge distinction between her and Tommy. And I think she's just genuinely like no nonsense. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I need. Like, if she's gonna do her whole
Hmm.
trio self, like it's about like,
Yeah.
this is a need for me, and you're not gonna fight me on that.
Yes.
And I'm gonna get what I want, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
work hard for it,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to do work to get there, but I'm okay with that. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna rest when I do rest, which
Yes.
I think is so 8.
Yeah, I do too. And she's very clarified. She has her backup plans. She saves the whole office one time when the computers go out, and she's had it this clarified plan of knowing, hey, you've got to get your backups ready. She, like you said, knows how to treat herself. She also really does not settle for less than an amazing guy. She's like, I want the best guy. I deserve the best guy. And she's a tiger out there. When her and April go toe to toe, I'm sorry, when her and Anne go toe to toe, for a guy at a dating round speed round thing. She's like, get out of here. I'm in charge. So I do notice the 8. I love that analysis. I'm not going to change it. Other than I'll probably say she has equal wings. I think I see the fun 7 and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
9. I also think that we look at the fun character of Chris Traeger and how he evolves over the show. What do you feel like he is? We talked about this before coming on. We had a few ideas.
Yeah, I think that he is. I'm okay. I think he might be a 1. I don't know if he's a 1 wing 9,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not positive. But I think he's a 1
Mm-hmm.
just because his drive is so like body type focused. Like,
Mm.
I feel like his drive is not like, it's not a head type, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm gonna do this because it's the most like logical thing necessarily. I feel like he's really thinking in terms of like longevity, like literally like, I need my vitamins and my supplements and my healthy foods, which is like so type 1.
He's
There
so
he's
self-pres
like,
one. When you might be thinking
yes,
otherwise,
yeah,
6 wing 7, 7 wing 6s, we've typed him a little in the past. But
yeah.
you're saying you see this deep need to do the right thing for his body.
Yes, and it's very much like, yeah, and the righteousness of it, where he's like, okay, this is the right thing to do. I'm gonna go make a one-on-one connection with this person because I know that's what's right, and that's what will
Yes,
bring
that'll
order to the office. Like, it's
right.
very much rooted in that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I see a lot of 7, and I know there's like a lot of 7 memes about him, which I totally see. But
Mm-hmm.
ones go to 7 a lot,
Yes,
and I
they do.
think,
And we live with the one who goes to 7 a
yeah, and
lot.
so I'm like, knowing my experience with the 1, I'm kind of like, I don't think, and with a 7, I'm like, I don't think he's giving the 7 type of energy when assessing like what his relationships are in the office.
Yeah, I agree. And he's really strong when he has something to say, like, no, there's not going to be an office romance between Leslie and Ben, which there does end up being, but he is strong on it's not right. It's an office romance. And he has an accounting brain as well, that it does speak a little bit more type 1 than 7, I would say, in terms of them being the city managers. And ones are great managers. So I love Melody's unique take on this because I do think my even thought was hearing him today as we were rewatching some clips. He was talking about, like, I know there's this many calories in this drink. It was self-pres 1, but I could have been fooled thinking he was a 6. And I realized, no, he really has so much rightness in him. It drives him. And 6s are all about like loyalty. And that's important to him, but that's not his most important thing at all. Would you
He does
agree?
move away at one point for his career, and like
Yeah.
because it will push him further, which I think if he was that loyal 6, he would be more like, oh, I could never, you
Yeah,
know?
that's really hard for a 6 to move away. Okay, one more basic character and then a real quick funny ones. What about Anne? Anne Perkins.
Oh, unpopular opinion, hot take, don't like Anne very much.
Oh my gosh, but Leslie's obsessed with Anne.
I just don't get the hype. Like, I just feel like she brings nothing to the table. Like, she'll literally be like, oh, like they'll do this funny joke, and then she's like, okay, guys, like clear out. Like, it's time to get like busy or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, like she's always crashing the party. Or she's like, guys, it's Leslie's birthday. What are we gonna do? And I'm like, no one wants you to be so stressed. So I
So you're not gonna give
genuinely
her a
don't
type
have a
9.
clue. Because I've seen a lot of people say 9,
Yeah.
but it's almost like it would be like an unawake 9.
Yeah.
Like she would just kind of be like drifting through. I don't know.
Yeah, I have seen those moments. I think she has some unhealthy 9 and 2 moments where she's like, I'm going to throw myself at somebody who's just not for me because I don't know what else to do. But not super self-aware 9 and 2. And yet I also love those types that they can be such good friends. And as much as it might annoy us how she can be wishy-washy, there's a part of her, I think, that is run by the super ego 2 and 1, where she's like, the right thing to do is this or that, and she puts up with a lot of crap between
Yeah.
people being mean to her.
I see a lot of the 1 as well.
Yeah, I do too. So we're not going to give her an official type, but that brings us to April Ludgate, who also doesn't like Anne. And what would you think April's type is?
I'm gonna have to say the 4 wing 5, just
Yeah.
because she's such like she has the romantic side of the 4, and I don't necessarily mean like touchy feely. Like
Mm,
whenever she's with Andy, it's so funny because she's like so deadpan and like she's one of the most iconic TV
she
characters.
really is.
It's like she's like goth, but she's not like goth, you know, like she's not
Mhm.
like it's just like her sense of humor is so dry, but it's such like a funny balance with Andy's like hyperactive sense of humor.
Mhm.
I think they're one of the cutest couples. So I
Mhm.
see a lot of the 5 in her just because she's so like cynical at times and
Mhm.
just like I said, like the dry humor, but I think she's overall a 4 just because
Mhm.
she is very like artistic and she does have a really big heart for like animals and advocating for them.
Huge heart.
And yeah, I think she is a heart type overall, but I do see her 5 come out a
A
lot.
lot. I almost typed her 5 wing 4 and then I went back to heart type with her too. So I loved that you shared that as well. And I'm sure many of our listeners are also like, yeah, she's a heart type deep down. She has such a big heart. But I definitely understand her wanting to be unique like a 4 and special. And let me get you with how weird I am. So that part, when she puts herself out there, I don't know that it's always about rejection. Sometimes I'm thinking 5 there too, though it's so close with her 4 and 5
So
because it's like
close.
almost like the rejection vibes that 5 wants to give, like, stay away. I'm so weird. Versus the 4 who's like, I'm unique and special, come near me. And I think she wrestles with that as a character, and that's why she does end up with a beautiful romance on the story and wants everyone to see it or on the show. But I saw that the character was loosely based off of the actor's younger sister who is 17. So she was like, my sister's cutting up and making all these sarcastic jokes. So super fun. And I think there's hilarious side characters on this show. So you have to watch because there's so many people like Jeremy Jam and so many others. Like he's just a difficult person. I refuse to fully type him.
And Bird
I can't
Happy,
even per happily like
Joan Palomezzo.
yes, these are crazy experiences that you will enjoy if you have not seen the show. Please keep watching after season 2, because it does get a lot better if you gave up on it, which I did talk to somebody on Instagram who gave up. But I do want to quickly check in about the Sapersteins. We mentioned them at the beginning of the episode. What do you think their type is? They are so funny. Their dad is the Fonz from the old Happy Days show. But Mona Lisa and John Ralphio Saperstein are Tom's friends, the type 3 we mentioned, who is quintessentially 3. And they're always coming up with a new harebrained scheme to make money and like trick people and cheat people and super
I
low
don't know
level,
what
whatever
type
their
they would
types
be.
they
Like I
are.
have no idea.
Yeah.
I almost like don't think they're even like able to take the test. Like I don't think they could sit still long enough. Like They're like chihuahuas or something. Like,
I think of thing one and thing two.
yeah, they're like really iconic. And I will say at points, I'll be like, "Ooh, that was so sapristine of us," or
Yeah, I do
like
see
she
the
just said
seven
to
in
me,
a
like,
little
you
bit.
looked like them when you did that pose. Like, I
Yes.
do love to do a little song where he's like, "Oh, you're the worst," or whatever. Like, I do love to do that. So I
You have
don't
your
know.
moment.
They have a lot of 7 and
Yeah, they
3.
do. Yeah, they're
And I have
funny.
no idea, especially when Mona Lisa's like, I just set a fire in the bathroom, like, money, please. Like, I'm like, who is that? Like, who would do that? I have
Right.
no idea.
Right. We can all take little funny things from the show, but the reason we love the show is because those kinds of things are not good. And we all know that. And we're like, okay, that's terrible. Like, as much as some of these other characters and all of us may have our bad moments, like the Sapersteins represent the worst of humanity. And thankfully, we can all leave the show going, at least I'm not like them. So
Yeah.
I do think that's kind of what they represent, like every Enneagram type at their absolute worst, especially 7.
With an infinity scarf. So,
Yes.
or cherry on top.
Yes, and Tammy too, we said wasn't unhealthy too, right?
It's in the name. Yeah. There's not
Tammy
much
too.
else to say there.
Tammy.
Yeah.
She's runs real life. Megan Malone and Nick Offerman are actually wait, is that her name, Megan Malone? I'll look that up, but definitely she is somebody who is really sweet
Hilarious.
and real life, right?
Oh,
She
in
are
real life,
fun.
yes. But her
Yeah.
character is hilarious.
Yes.
Really funny and a little bit psychotic, or a lot of it. I like
Yeah.
their dynamic though, just because it's like, why would he ever have been with her?
Yeah.
And then you see how he keeps going back over to her.
Yes. Oh my gosh, he does. She's addictive. And so we know that's how relationships can be. And twos can lure us in if they're not healthy and they could be in that seductive femme fatale, which is 100% Tammy too, although she's a librarian on the exterior, seems to be 5-ish, isn't. But she is played by Megan Mullally, and she's now known as Tammy Swanson the second. So funny.
Second.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, I hope you had fun typing with us. I hope you have fun shopping this week, doing any of our 12-day sales. Melody, congratulations on your beautiful college
Thank
entry. How
you.
exciting and special.
Yeah.
You're already graduating with your AA soon, but just to know that you're already on your next steps as well is a joy for, I think, many people here who have been watching you grow up,
I
honestly.
know, it's crazy.
Yes. So thank you for the fun, and you guys keep enjoying your holiday movies. Melody, last before we go, is there any holiday movie characters that you have a crush on? Like maybe even somebody that we can leave as this is a love show, where you were thinking this was my hear me out for that show on why I think this character or that character is cute.
It's a good question. I
Just a
can't
fun.
think of any like off the top of my head, but I do know that a popular one is Jack Frost, which irritates me because everyone likes him and like he's just a traditionally good looking character. So I
Okay.
would not stereotype that as a hear me out because that is not niche enough. But I will
Mhm.
say I didn't think I necessarily had a crush, but I always thought that the two brothers in the beginning of The Grinch Who Stole Christmas
Mhm.
were like the most rebellious characters I'd ever seen when
Aw.
they were climbing up the mountain.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I allowed
Teenagers.
myself to ever dare to have a crush because I was like, what are they doing? Like, I
Yeah.
was like, they're criminals. Like,
Yeah.
this is
In the
horrible.
Jim Carrey one.
Yeah, I was like, what? There's a girl up there too? Like, I was like horrified. So I would say that is a funny character or characters that have always stood out to me, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love that we got to just think in those ways and bring our audience to that fun hear me out because we're going to do some hear me outs on the podcast next year with different things. So be aware we have so many fun things planned for you in 2025 here. But thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Mel, for being here.
Thank you. It was so fun. I'll see you guys soon.
Bye.